present a favorite of towns near and far.
Jana memorized the whole book. Whoa! It's so cute.
Wow, this is amazing. Ain't that the truth?
Come on, let's go, let's go!
Dark in the deep, down beneath the earth you go, holiday fast to sleep, fast to sleep, fast to sleep, dark glory in the deep. Rise again, O Lord, now spring abundant, total well, render green the dying bough, raise the rock where you again fell.
May I present a favorite of towns near and far.
Jana memorized the whole book. Whoa! It's so cute.
Wow, this is amazing. Ain't that the truth?
Come on, let's go, let's go!
Hey everybody, Chris Wall here. Good to see you all.
Hey, Andrew Peterson here.
It's been a little while. Welcome. We are so excited about this live stream. Season 2 is upon us. If you saw, we had an announcement and some fun stuff a couple weeks ago as part of the Illuminate event with Angel Studios. And tonight we want to come to you with lots of cool stuff. So we've got a surprise interview with one of our new cast. We've got some more character designs and exclusive look at our new poster. Yeah, other details along the way. So let's jump into it. Andrew, good to see you. We have been watching a lot of animation. Man, animation is flowing.
We have. Yeah, I was just falling asleep. I just got home just from the UK just last night. So I'm looking at myself. One of the bad things about these Zoom calls is you can see yourself, and I'm like, oh man, my eyes are so poofy. Why do I always look so poofy? All that said, while I was gone, there was a lot happening in Wingfeather world. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff to talk about.
Like rockroaches and trolls.
Rockroaches and trolls. I got to see the first little clip of the Gargan rockroach today, and it is fantastic.
Animation
They
team
have knocked
is
it
having
out of the park. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I was worried about that creature, which we'll look at here in a little bit, but yeah, we're rolling, folks. People have been asking us, Andrew, when do they get to see season 2? And we're like, within a year of season 1. That's all we're saying at this point. But we're working hard to try to get that lined up for you. We do want season 2 to be a week by week. I know, Andrew, we heard a lot from families like, hey, every 2 weeks is a little tough. Can we have it every week? So sure. Actually, Andrew, this came up, curious, and fans, put it in the comments what you think. I don't know. Night by night. What do you think?
Whoa. I think that's a little much. I think that's a
It's a
little
little
much. I
fast.
kind of like it. Yeah, it is a little fast. I mean, the thing is, you could, if you really wanted night by night, you just wait till the 6th week. And
You could,
do
and
a
then
night by
do a
night
night by
leading
night.
up to the finale. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would work.
Well, at least week by week. That's the plan now. And so what we have to
Yeah.
plan out for, as you can imagine, folks, is when is episode 7 ready to go? So we can start that train and not have to skip a beat. So that's what we're working on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Soundtrack came out. Andrew, some amazing music on that. It's out on YouTube. We had a problem with distribution, so we had to pull it back. And it's going to be out here in June for sure. We'll put that release date out, and then we've got some really cool behind-the-scenes pieces for that soundtrack coming up soon. But I know, Andrew, we've got to listen to it quite a bit, and it's great. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Lots of good stuff on there. So thanks for your patience there, but it's coming. June, to say that it comes out in June feels like a long way away, but it's May 24th. So
Yep.
so it's coming soon, y'all. Yeah.
And we're heading into Memorial Day weekend, and I just got to tell you, folks, the Angel Studio store, where all of our great Wingfeather Saga merch is going to have a sweet sale happening. So if you want to stock up and help support the show, every time you help purchase a bit of merch, whether it's a T-shirt or whatever, it helps support the show. That's how we make this thing go. Including, it's out there, Andrew. He's not quite ready for the world, but of course this nugget is coming.
Aww.
He is super
Look at that
soft.
guy.
So there's a pre-order button out there if you want to get info on when he's ready to go. But he's coming up soon. And then there's all kinds of the glasses and shirts and all kinds of fun stuff out there. So if you just
Hats.
go to and hats. Oh yeah, there's a new hat. I don't have it here, but there is a new hat. Oh yeah, there we go. And look at Nugget. Oh. Some new bookmark 4-pack, and then of course the bucket hat, still very popular. And lots more stuff coming. So be sure to keep an eye on that. You can go to wingfeathersaga.com/store, or when you're on the main Angel streaming site, you can also find it there. So wingfeathersaga.com/store. There you go. All right. We have some special clips to show you and other things that we want to get into. But first, let's talk about our posters. Andrew, we've had a fun run of posters, some imagery as we've been building this out. But if you remember, the very first, it was in March of last year that we did our first teaser poster. And it was this one of the season 1 poster of the Igiby cottage, which I think is currently in the background. There it is. That was our first image. Garrett Taylor made this, had the dragon in the background. And then we had our official season 1 poster. And this one, of course, the family. I love this.
Such a great poster.
Andrew, there is a backlit version of this poster at the Angel Studios headquarters that you can change the light in like a brighter and a brighter and a brighter. And so when you go to the dimmest version, it's like the family, and then you go brighter and you see the fangs, and then you go one notch brighter and you see all the creatures. It's so cool.
I love that.
I was like, I want
That
one
is
of
so
those.
cool.
Yeah.
How do we do that? That's amazing.
It's awesome. They also have, which we can't do much with it here yet, but they also have some cool Igiby cottage stuff over there. Anyways,
Really?
more about figures.
Okay, yeah.
later.
Tell me. Yeah.
That's later. Anyways, and so we finished season 1. We're into season 2. The family's on the run from the Fangs of Dang. And so what is that image going to be? For those of you who read the books, like, you know what the family's headed into, but we wanted to catch up with the family, and Garrett Taylor, once again, our art director, pulled together this amazing season 2 teaser poster. Here it is. Oh, no, this one. Oh, sorry. Golly, I totally jumped the gun. This one.
That's not
gosh.
it. Yeah.
This was the one, that we put out when we did the fundraising So you guys came and invested in season 2. We did 2 rounds of that and became investors in our company and helped us towards season 2. This one was one where we had the early look at the stranders peeking in the corners there. And that background.
Dugtown in the background.
Yeah, Dugtown. Looking all dangerous and scary. Okay. And then we officially rolled out the season 2 poster. And here it is, folks. The season 2 teaser
Dun,
poster.
dun, dun. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there it is.
That's so good, man. I remember Garrett showed us this in a meeting and we all gasped. We were just like, yes, there it is. It's so good.
Much happening in this poster. We got to talk about it. Andrew, this is the River Blap spilling over Fingap Falls.
Yes.
People read the books, they know this. It's a really intense moment in the story. You actually drew the concept for this. We were struggling to figure out how to make Fingap Falls and what you were looking at, and so this was inspired by you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Andrew, if you don't know that, folks, he's quite a talented illustrator.
I gotta say,
did you save that illustration? Do you still have it? I only saw
have it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was very bashful sharing that with Garrett Taylor. I'll tell you that. But I'll say that, like, this, not only does he just capture the look and the feel of the thing so wonderfully, but, like, if you look closely, you can see Cal's got his bow and arrow, Janner's got his sword, Lily's got her crutch, Nia, they're all dressed for action. You can see that they're But I was going to say, before we get into that, I just noticed this. Sorry, really quick. I just noticed that there's only one of them that is not looking at the sea, and it's Poto. That he's got Poto looking away, which if you know the stories, you know there's a story. There's a little bit of a narrative visual happening right there.
Way across
which is just
the
so
water
great.
on the far side is a cool visual too that some people haven't picked up on. Those that have seen this. So way across there.
Oh
is
yeah.
A bit of, that's in the book.
I don't think I had noticed.
I don't know. It's there's something over there, you know. So that's pretty cool. So this image represents so much, folks. This is like season 2 gets off with a bang. There's a huge action sequence right out the gate. But it also represents water. And if you are an animation aficionado, you know that water is really hard to pull off and make look interesting and well without it feeling photoreal. So Keith Lango on our team has been working on this. And Andrew, I've seen some tests now of how we're going to do water and mist, and the characters actually get a little bit wet, and what does that look like, and still maintain, you know, our painterly kind of quality and storybook stuff. And so he's got some really cool solutions that we'll be showing later. But in this image you said a second ago is, of course, a real sneak peek at adventure mode, we're calling it. This is our family in adventure mode. I mean, Andrew, you know, when you go out adventuring, you have a different apparel. And then we said, well, the family's not at the farm anymore. Let's change them up. So we went through the entire cast, our family here, and gave them a wardrobe update. Ironically, Andrew, we didn't change Oscar at all.
Perfect.
Just let him run into the best. He looks great. So let's run through it. So let's take a look at Poto first. His had a somewhat modest update, but here is Poto in his adventure mode. And he has a kind of a lighter shirt there, a little easier. There he goes. And he is got some lace there. We had a discussion, Andrew, at length about whether a tuft of hair should be out in the lace or not. I said no.
Yeah, it might be distracting.
Yeah, so there he is. And then Nia, we thought it'd be important for her. You know, she in her original design had a lot of layers, but there was an apron that we would use for her, and so we gave her something a little more athletic. And then worked on her hair a little bit to give her the option of having it up and away for all the adventuring that she'd be into. I love those boots.
Mm-hmm.
What are those called? Are they Chelsea? Is that right? It's like a tight style of boot.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah, like wellies.
Yeah.
Maybe Chelsea boots. It's probably more like Chelsea boots, I think is what they're called.
Yep.
Yeah, she's ready to go. It's great.
She's ready to go. And then we got to, of course, Dear Lily. And Lily had her awesome dress around, and we said, let's give her something a little more, tie up her hair a little bit. So there is Lily. And so in the poster, again, you're getting to see all this, but from the back. And so we're showing you here, like, hey, here's what we actually got into. People have commented, how often does she comb her hair? Because those twigs are staying around a long time. So we did. Actually, in later episodes, we did start turning the twigs off and making not part of her base. So there she is. And, of course, Tink, now Kalmar. Cal got an update. Gave him, a little different shirt, swapped out his pants there, changed out gave him some boots. So he's settling in. And of course, Janner. Janner, this was really important to me that he keep that signature neckerchief, different one, but just felt like that was so part of who he is. And then some other fun updates around. So
yeah, so if you're going to do a Halloween costume for Janner, you got to swap out the red for the blue, and then you're done pretty much.
That's right. That's the season 2 look. So there's our sweet family for season 2. Yeah, tell us in the comments who's your favorite. Who do you like out of this? The team, we worked back and forth quite a bit, getting them all dialed in, but we're pretty excited about them. So there they are, season 2. Now, Andrew, we also have creatures. You can't have Advance in the Wingfeather Saga world without some creatures. And so we're going to introduce trolls. So we have a couple trolls here. There they are.
Oh, it's so good. I just saw in the clip that I saw today of the Gargan Rockroach, I got to see my first troll in movement. And it's just so good. It's spot on.
Yeah,
look at those guys.
Love it. And I love that they're distinctive and they're their own people. Like, it's not just, great job on it. And then, of course, you mentioned it, but a Gargan Rockroach. So take a look at this bad boy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so gross.
Nightmares.
It's so shiny, too. I just hate everything about it. It's so creepy.
It's so good. Yeah. I just read that. I was reading through book 2 again, and your description of this character, the flappy lips and the teeth and the claws, and yeah, I saw the same clip that you did today of this animated for the first time, and it's like, oh my, that is terrifying.
So horrifying. Oh,
that's
man.
So good. Awesome. Well, those are all just a sample of the characters you're going to get to see in season 2, which is, like I said, rolling along at a fast clip. Like, it's amazing. And we are so thankful for all of you that invested in Wingfeather Saga and that have joined in to, like, pay it forward. I think that's this interesting exchange of the show is free. You can watch it for free on the Angel Studios apps. And if you like it, it's like a tip jar. Just, hey, support us. You can pay it forward, they call it. And that helps us to pay for season 2 and beyond. And we're so thankful everybody has done that. Some of you guys have signed up to do that monthly and just kind of support the show ongoing. We're community supported, and we're so thankful for all that you're doing there. We have had some others join us. And so we announced this 2 weeks ago, but the Angel Acceleration Fund, it's a venture capitalist fund, has come alongside us to help us secure funding for season 2 and beyond. And so we're grateful for them being a part of our show. It's been pretty great. Season 3, people have started asking about. I'm like, yo, slow your roll. Season 2 is still in production. But, Andrew, season 3 writing room is coming up. We're actually
That is crazy to me. I can't believe we're already starting the writing room on that. That is amazing.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. In June, we have to get in our writing room and get going.
Great. It's going to be great. But wow.
And season 3, season 2 is amazing. Season 3 just keeps going because
there's a lot that happens. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a trip on the brain to be working on two parts of two different aspects of the production for 2 different seasons concurrently. And like I don't know if it's that I turned 49 in about a week and a half. I don't know if it's my brain is getting slower, but I just can't keep it straight. It's amazing to me that you guys can do this. But man, what a trip. I can't believe we're already on to season 3. Can't believe it.
Well,
yeah.
And folks have asked this, but if you have not seen season 1, of course, you need to go watch it all because there's going to be lots of spoilers over the next number of weeks and months as we talk about season 2 and beyond. So be sure to go watch it. For those of you that want to go out and watch it, Andrew, I've had my hands deep in an updated season 1. So we're getting ready to work on a DVD and Blu-ray release. It's going to come out this summer. Can't wait. And that we wanted to have the final best version. And so we've gone back and tweaked some stuff. And so I would just challenge all of you that have watched it to go watch the show again and see if you can spot all the changes. Some of them are fixes that are hilarious. Andrew, there was one that came across last week with Tink and the Blagus Boys in episode 1, where Tink is actually in the background of his own shot, like it's a repeated character. I think characters on it. And
How
it was
did
just
I
like,
not see that?
how did we miss that? Like, what? When they're
That's so
offering
funny.
the spark powder, there's Tink standing in the background. It's like,
That's so funny.
you know, when you're making a show, folks, stuff happens. So some of it is fixes, some of it is updates to make better. Like Andrew, the cages when Jenner is looking around during Dragon Day, and there's like the creatures in the cages. You know, the menagerie guy. There's a shot in there where the cages were empty, and I was like, that wasn't. They were supposed to have creatures in them, and it was just a mistake, and so we have fixed it. So, anyways, look for those fixes. They're rolling out in the apps. You'll see these updates. So the best version of season 1 is coming, but angel.com/wingfeather is all those 6 awesome episodes. All right,
Hey, I
season
wanted
2.
to throw this out there too.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this out there too. While we're talking about the DVD and everything, the paperback just came out.
Oh my gosh.
It's like they've, the re-releases in hardback. Paperback just came out. It's in Barnes and Noble, but it's also been spotted in Walmart. And I've also heard Hobby Lobby, if you're into Hobby Lobby. And the cool thing about the new edition of the paperback is there's a little sticker on the front that says, now an animated series. And in the back page, it's got like a QR code so people can go straight there. So hopefully a lot of people are going to be discovering the series through that. So if you know people who are like still holdouts on reading book 1, it's never been easier or cheaper than it is now. So yeah, tell people to go look for it at Walmart.
Or
Walmart
cheaper.
or Barnes
You're
and
not
Noble or
wrong.
whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think at Walmart
true.
it was $7.88. You know, it was like that classic
Yeah.
Walmart price.
And it's a nice looking paperback too. It's the kind of paperback I would have read when I was a kid,
That's cool. Well, yes. So the books are going out there, and they're bringing new audiences in to the series, and it's just the coolest. Yeah. So you'll start to see them, and if you see them, tell us about it. Share it on social media. We'd love to see. I know, Andrew, you do spottings at bookstores on occasion. So let's see if we can find these in the wild. Okay, season 2, we wanted to give you an opportunity to have a look at what we've been up to. And so we've got an exclusive clip. This is from episode 1. Just some animation. Okay, so this is animation only. And so it has temporary music in there. It has no sound effects really, just very roughly placed. But it does have the voice actors in there, and it's animated. It's all gray, right? But we wanted to show you kind of what you can expect as season 2 is in production. So take a look at this little clip.
Quill diggle, quill diggle. Horned hounds, pack of hounds, boys.
I fled to safety, Grandpa.
Had it, girl.
Can't I at least throw rocks?
Not in the plan. Just stay tucked away.
Oh, I love that. I don't think I'd seen that. Just stay tucked away. He's just kind of like busy. And she's about to show her stuff, and that it's a great moment that's about to come up. Yeah, it's great. So good.
There you go.
So good.
So fun. And obviously, temporary sound effects going on in there. But
Yeah, he's banging sticks together, and it's a cowbell.
yeah,
Or a chime. Yeah, good.
yeah. But we catch up with the family. We left them hiding at Pete's treehouse at the end of season 1, and so they're still there, getting prepared to head off to the ice prairies and doing some training. So that's what's going on there, which is fun. Yeah, and there's some fun under tension there of Lily and what her job is. Right, the boys are training and fighting and stuff like that. So yeah, can't wait to show you that. Andrew, some amazing cast has joined the show, and we're so excited this week. We have a special guest with us who is going to reveal the character they're playing in the show. And so, without further ado, we want to introduce you to Billy Boyd.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Nice to be here.
Good
So
to
glad
see
to
you.
have
Thanks
you.
for joining us.
Great.
So, Billy,
So
you showed up as an auditionee, and we were so delighted to hear you. And it was so unusual because you weren't playing the sweet innocent character. Suddenly, you were playing something far more nefarious, and it just brought such delight. So the fans don't know what character you're going to get to play within the Wingfeather Saga. Do you want to tell them about this character?
Am I allowed to say?
I think
you're
so.
allowed to say.
Right now. Oh, good. Well, I will be playing the Overseer. All right.
Dun, dun. Yes.
Which is such a fun character to be asked to play. I love it. Thank you for this.
Oh man! Well, I was going to say we get we listen to these auditions kind of blind. We don't know the name attached to it, but after I think I sent all caps. Like we give our first pick, our second, our third. And I put you for first, second, and third place. I was like, yes, he has to be the guy because you just so nailed it. And then same thing with the animatics. Once we heard the recordings that you'd done, I just had 0 notes. It was like spot on the whole time. Amazing. So somehow you just have a dark part of you that you were able to channel.
It's always been the thing, hasn't it? That actors always say it's the most kind of interesting characters to play is the sort of darker characters. And I'm not even really sure why that is, but it's always, the classical actors want to play Richard III, they don't want to play Romeo.
Yes.
They want to play and there is something kind of interesting and exciting about being able to play these morally wrong characters in the comfort of a voice booth.
You're working something out. It's cathartic.
Yeah, maybe it is, but there's always been something fun about it. I've always I haven't done a lot of voice work sort of lately, but early in my career when I was in the UK, I used to do a lot of work at the BBC, dramas, and they had a play every day and all these different characters, and I always loved it. You would turn up at the voice booth with your script, and you could basically be anyone. You could be a Russian sailor in the morning, and then you would be a Scottish lord in the afternoon, or someone down a coal mine, and it was just something brilliant. And you could be someone who was 6'5", or anything. You could be someone who flies, and there's always something really wonderful about that. And it's nice to play these different characters that even you might not get to play if visuals are involved.
Is that so? Where did you start in acting? Like, did it start in radio for you? What was your first instinct getting into this?
So I studied at the academy in Scotland. So I studied acting, which is now called the Conservatoire, the Royal Scottish Conservatoire, and from there, mainly went into theatre. Repertoire theatre was still happening, so you would go. Personally, I went to St Andrews, to a theatre in St Andrews, and you'd be playing one play at night and rehearsing another play during the day, which is great training and great fun. And within that time, as I say, I would also like to do these BBC plays and characters that you could play, with the script in hand. So you could, as I say, you could turn up in the morning and do a play that day, and then go to the theatre and do another play at night,
Amazing.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
And so,
really
Bill, you
fun.
talked to this before, but theater is something that you've kind of sit in contact with. I understand you've got some theater coming up later this year. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we can now. Dominic Monaghan and I, Dominic who played Merry in The Lord of the Rings, we've been trying to find things to do, you know, for the last 20 years since we made Lord of the Rings, and things pop up occasionally. And we always loved this play by Tom Stoppard called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead,
Oh yeah.
where
Oh yeah.
where Stoppard took two small characters from Hamlet and kind of thought, put them into their own world, and what would that be like when they're not speaking to Hamlet or one of the characters in Hamlet? What do they talk about? Who are they? And he wrote this play that looks at, wow, everything, all the big questions: life, death, why are we here? Is it fate? Is there? Do you make your own future? All the big questions are spoken about by these two crazy characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And Dom and I will go up to Canada, Halifax first, and then going to Toronto to do this play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So yeah, it'd be
Marvelous.
nice to get back to the theatre. It's been about, well, I was thinking about it, it's probably 7 or 8 years since I was on stage, so looking forward to it.
Wow.
I imagine
That's
there's a you like things about all of it, but is there something you prefer between television, film, voice work, stage work? Like, is it all just kind of the same to you, or does it feel different?
No, it definitely feels different. I suppose lots of different reasons, but I think and I love them all. I got into acting because of film, because I loved watching film. But film is very much about beats, getting beats right. You know that we have to get this moment correct, where we have to show this is when he makes a decision to rob the bank or whatever it is. And it's about, you might spend all day on set making sure you have that, so the director's filming you from here, and then he's got a drone shot, and then there's a crane comes in, and so you're redoing this one moment all the time to get it right, and then the director puts that into the story. So the storytelling is very much the director and the editor's medium. Whereas on stage, every night you come in after you've rehearsed it for whatever it is, 4 weeks, with the other actors and the director and the designer. And then every night you tell this story, and you tell it the best way you can in that room with all these people. And I kind of love that you've got this 2 hours to tell this story, and whatever happens in that 2 hours, the only people who ever share in that are the people in that room. And there's something really, really special about that. I remember I did Macbeth at the Globe Theatre in London, and the director said, when Macbeth is doing these murders and all this morally wrong stuff, and they said, if you're doing it right, the audience should feel like they should say something. They're complicit in this action, and they feel like they should say, no, don't stop that. You can't do this, And there's no other medium where that happens, where you're there while it's happening and you become engrossed in the actual people telling the story. And there's something really special about that.
That's marvelous. You just reminded me of, we were talking a little bit before about music, and you play in a band and do music.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit and I was off the road for a year, I couldn't do shows for a year, I missed so much that what you describe of the live music, like we're not streaming it, because when you're recording it and you're streaming it, it's going out into the world, and you never know who's going to see it or when they're going to see it. But when you're in a small room of people, and there's an electricity that happens, there's a connection that happens between you and the audience that you can't get any other way. Like live music
Yeah.
is just so precious, and like there's
Yeah.
something about it that you can't manufacture. It just has to happen in the room. And I'd never really thought about that from an actor's perspective on the stage. That's got to be amazing.
And the weird thing is, as performers, a musician or an actor, you want it to be as good as you can. You want it to be smooth. But actually, that doesn't matter at all. If anything, it's better if there's some little things that go wrong. It makes it more memorable. So you're if you get too much into your head and think this has to be perfect, then you're going to have this sort of bland, black and white sort of, no shades of grey sort of evening. But if you're willing to just open up and go, here we go, this is us. We are in this room. Let's share this. Whatever happens, happens. And if I break a string or my voice goes in the top note, then it doesn't matter. That's lovely. We shared that there. That's fun. Isn't it good to be human? There's something
It's so
about
great.
that.
Yeah.
And it's always my favourite nights when a performer is right on that edge of, it doesn't matter. Something could go wrong. And that's when you go, oh yeah, we're watching something here. Or listening.
Have you
to
ever
something.
noticed,
It's lovely.
like when you're playing live, when the performer says, "So I just wrote this song last night, and I'm going to try it. You're the first audience I'm going to try this for," and the whole room there's a stillness that comes over the room that doesn't happen any other time, right? Because there's a risk. Everybody knows that you're about to take a massive risk, that this might fail miserably. But you're brave enough to try it. They're with you. They want you to succeed. There's just this magic that happens. So risk taking is such a huge part of the live performance.
As you were saying, about people filming and it all going out. The last time I played with my band on a tour, we had a thing where there was one song where we said, "Okay, everyone, put your phones away. No one gets to see this except for us." And there would be something in the room that was very special then as well, where people go, "Oh, okay." So all the phones go down, all the recording equipment goes down, and then for the next 6 minutes or whatever, that will never be seen or heard, or it can only ever be talked about. And there's something lovely about that we're sort of lost now,
Yeah, which
So
couldn't be
it's on the other-
much different from recording The Overseer for the Wingfeather Saga. It's a
Exactly,
little
like
different.
literally the other end of the spectrum here of live is way over here to animation, where we're taking these little bits and pieces and taking a dead thing to animate it with lots of technicians and people and staging. And a lot of times in voice acting, I know you've done this, but you do a little something which you recorded with us a number of weeks ago, and it will be weeks and months before we see a product, right? Like before we get to take some time to develop into this. How different is voice work for you, getting in the booth and obviously we got to spend some time together doing this a little while ago.
But strangely enough, it's exactly the same thing. If you go into the booth over rehearsed, thinking this is exactly how I'm going to do this line, I know exactly how I'm doing this, then you might get something that's polished and great. But if you go in there, obviously done your work, and the character and how you feel and how you want to play it, but you're also working with, animators, directors, writers who might have their ideas or what they want, and you've got to be there and ready to risk and make mistakes and and hopefully come up with something that you're like, oh, that I've surprised myself. I didn't know I was going to do that, but that's much better than what I thought I was going to do.
Well,
So that sort of that same mentality goes into the sound booth.
It does, and I have to say, Billy, working with you in that last session, you were so engaged and alive, and lots are, but there are some people who aren't, who have an idea when they come in the booth of here's how I'm going to deliver this, and it's kind of what you're going to get, but you came out of it like a boxer, like you were into it, like physically moving around the room, and I was delighted, because there's things that we can find together in that, right? That even as I'm reading for one of the kids or whatever against you, that you're trying something, and well, what if I do it this way? Oh, that's interesting. What happens there? And like, even in the context, I know that for you fans at home, you've heard this, but our actors don't get to record together, so the connective tissue is either myself or our episode director John will be in the booth with each of our actors, helping to kind of be the connective tissue of like, hey, emotionally this thing's going to sit here, so that this actor can play against it in this way and so forth. But it's up to Billy, like you just did, to bring it to life. To like find what's the best version, and sometimes there's a, hey Chris, don't read. I want to try something. Like I just want to feel it out in the space, and I love that. Henry Ian Cusick, who is on the show playing Pete, he's the same, man. He comes out just sweaty, like he just gets into it. He's like ready to go, and he's having so much fun finding the character and those deliveries.
Yeah.
In your session, I think we talked about this, but one of our animators, Keith, was nearby and could hear your delivery as we were in that session. And as an animator, he was so excited about animating your voice. He's like, he is giving us so many interesting rhythms and cadences and flavors. And like, isn't that fun, right? You're giving them like, oh, I want that. Like Keith has told me, Andrew, I don't know if I told you this, but he's like, well, I can't remember what scene he picked. He's like, I'm animating that, which, Keith's our animation super. He's not animating. He's like, no, give me that one's mine, because he wants to animate your voice.
Isn't that great? And somehow that's still what we're all talking about. And probably a lot of my favorite movies of the last, 20 years have been animations, because people do these things and they take the risks and they come up with stuff, but then it can be polished in such a beautiful way with animation, where it, these beats that we were talking about, these character beats or comedy beats or whatever, can be so polished and made just wonderful before they're seen by anyone. And these animators are a different breed, that they can get
It's
these
a whole
moments.
thing.
They're wonderful.
I mean, just taking these dead little puppets and making them come to life. It just, I don't care if they do it in the computer or they do it with a little figurine. It's always the most fascinating thing to watch happen. Fantasy is the genre, obviously, that we're in. You've obviously had a lot of experience in fantasy. Are there favorite stories for you, like types of stories that you really resonate, you look for? Obviously, we're thrilled to have you on our project, but is this something that you look for, or are there other types of genre that you're into?
I mean, I like, any good storytelling when it's good in pretty much any genre. I love. If I had to choose one, like if I was like, okay, you've only got one genre that you're allowed to read the books, watch the movies, the TV shows, then it would be sci-fi for me. I'm a big sci-fi guy.
Yeah, there you go.
I love the books. I love being taken to another world, and give me Star Trek all day. I'll be good.
Did you grow up watching Star Trek, the old Star Trek? I love
all the Star Treks, but if I had to choose one, it would be Next Generation.
Nice.
A big Next Generation
Well, I think
fan.
that, Billy, if you're of a certain age, as we all are here, Next Gen has a different impact, right? It was like, that's ours, right? I don't know. I agree with you. I grew up with my mom and dad watching the original, but then when Next Gen happened, it was like, oh, this is my Star Trek. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It happened at the right time for me.
Yeah.
But
I was just like,
but
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say this sort of, although you're saying, fantasy with the Wingfeather Saga, it's also that the stories of young people finding their power has always been a big thing in my life as well. When I was back in Scotland, there's a great writer called Stuart Patterson who used to write Christmas stories. The story of Arthur and Merlin, or the Snow Queen, or Hansel and Gretel, but done in a very beautiful, stylistic way. that I used to love doing those. The idea of young people finding, their power, their place when, adults are always trying to say, you have to do this, you have to do that. And there's something great about young people finding their power. And I've always loved that kind of story as well.
Well, the story that season 2 now is in, it takes place during book 2 in the book series. And that book 1 it's all about, one of the things about this story is that things work best when the family is all together. The parents actually listen to the kids and actually have their best interests in mind. It's a good relationship with the kids and the parents. And when I got to the part that you're in, which is where Janner is for the first time in the story separated from his family.
Yeah.
Not by his own choice. It just happened. Man, things changed. His character changed completely. When there is no grandfather or mother or sibling or uncle to save him, and he is stuck in the fork factory for weeks, and he's got to find his way. There's a pretty painful moment in the books and in the show where Janner is completely alone. And man, I'm with you. Like, that's one of my favorite things about this whole saga was the transformation that happens in him when he's got nowhere left to go. It happened big time in this, and the overseer is the guy that he's got to beat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that family thing is so important. I've got a son who's 17 now, and that it's always difficult. Like all through your kids growing up, when do you let them take the bike out themselves? When do you let them walk to school themselves? When can they go and see their friends for dinner? And and now he's thinking about college and all these big life things as people become adults and go out into the world.
Yeah.
It's difficult for families.
It's a lot. It is. It is.
We
great
love
too.
all of.
Yeah.
We love having the kids in our show. Even the actors are young, right? And so they're all in their own journey personally, right? Because they're kids of us, and they're kind of figuring it out. And so as we check in with them every number of months to record an episode, and then what's new in their life, and it's these, they're growing up. But one of those actors, Romy, who plays Lily, has been on Broadway now for a year and some change in a Tom Stoppard play. And when we were in the booth with you, Billy, you were actually in New York at the time, and you're like, yeah, I'm in town watching some shows, and I'm going to go see this show by Stoppard. And we were in the booth like, what? Wait, Romy's in that show. And maybe, kid actors, they rotate on or off days, and she was on, and you actually got to see the show and actually greet her after. And I think we have a photo of that moment. It was so sweet. There she is. Look at that.
And she was
so great.
She was wonderful.
Oh.
She's a fantastic actor. She was really wonderful in the show. The show was great, and she really shone in it. Very, very good actor.
Wonderful.
That's so good. She was delighted.
And
it was just this urging of like meetings and like, what in the world?
I know, crazy. I was like, oh, I'll need to go. I'm going to the theater, and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
then to top it all off, Paul McCartney from the Beatles was sitting beside me or behind me during the play, which I was so happy that I didn't know, because I wouldn't have been able to concentrate on the play, even though it was wonderful.
Oh yeah.
It was when we stood up and the lights went on, my son said, "Did you see Paul McCartney sitting behind you?" And I was like, oh no, I can't believe it. There's a Beatle behind me. I couldn't believe it.
That is amazing.
I don't
you're
get
like,
thrown much.
You're wondering the whole show, did you do anything weird or pick your nose or, that he was right there? Like, how did I do?
Yeah.
I know, exactly. It was it made me regret my decision to wear a large top hat like the overseer for the whole of the show.
Yes. Nice.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, well,
Yeah, just like that. That's exactly the hat
like-
I wore.
you wear that hat
Exactly.
because you were at the show.
So good.
So Billy,
I actually felt someone touch it behind me, and I said, "Look, would you just let it be?"
Hey,
Only in a Cockney accent. Yeah.
Did you ever do with your son? Did you do read aloud books? Because Andrew and myself both. He has read Wingfeather multiple times. Read aloud to lots of fans. I've read to my and doing voices. Do you read aloud? Did you read aloud? Did you do the voices?
You know what I did, but mainly we read in the evening when my boy was small. It was always a sort of bedtime when he was really young. So it was always it was more of a sort of, let's see if he'll go to sleep early. It was more like that type of reading. So there was no dragons and things. It was much more.
Yeah.
And then there was that, and then we got into reading time as well at one point, where we'd have a half hour during the day when we would sit and read a book together. I would read some, he'd read some, and there was more voices then, and that was great to hear. People in character with the voices.
That's right. My kids will call me on changing a character voice or accent. On different nights. We just finished reading through. We did. This is a dumb idea, but I said, "Hey, let's do a read aloud of Lord of the Rings, like front to back." Whew, that is a lot of books. And
did you do the whole thing?
I made it through, and the thing was, after each book, was like, then we'll watch the movie for that respective chapter, and we made it through. But Council of Elrond, read aloud with kids.
That's a big chapter.
Yeah, it's a big. That's
that's a lot, and there's a lot of characters, and now people will expect the characters from the movie, so you've got to be able to do a good Sean Bean and a good John Rhys Davis.
That's right. Oh my gosh, I can't do your Scottish accent at all. So it's been interesting. So with Wingfeather, we've had fans who've read these books. Andrew originally wrote them and released them in 2006, right? Is that so? Anyways, and so. Yeah, no, I guess it was 8. Yeah, but long time.
I don't remember.
So people have expectations, right? Because they've read them and they know the things. And so making this season 1 that just we finished up here was, a little nerve wracking because you've got to satisfy those fans, because you're adapting work, and if you adapt it in a way they don't like it, they will come for you, and they will troll you and all kinds of things. And so it was a fun journey. Through the season, as people would comment on different episodes and what we changed, and they liked the changes and this sort of thing, and then ending. Okay, we thought it was good. You did a good job. I got to win them over. Season 2, we're going to get to do some of that with your character, with Overseer. That he's in quite a lot of the book, and we have to. There's only so many episodes, and so we get to glean down some of the best moments. And we get to, in the writer's room, we've gotten to imagine the Overseer's history. Did he have a boss that got taken out, and he was kind of the and he's a little man now in charge of the factory, and he's excited, we get to do some of that work in the adaptation to imagine the background of these guys. Yeah. So we can't wait for the fans to see what you've brought here. It's pretty delightful. So glad that you're able to join us, man.
Really great. Do we have a clip, right?
Huh?
We do, yeah.
What were you going to say, Bill? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. I was just going to say I'm thrilled to be part of it. It's such wonderful stories, and I had such a great time recording it. It's just lovely to work with people who want to be constructive and make the best thing they can, and you get that feeling. So I'm thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
That's great. Billy. Well, thanks for joining us today. And to finish our time, we're going to share with the audience a clip. This is of an animatic. So, Billy, I know you know these, but animatics are the storyboards with the actors' voices in there, but the music and sound effects and all that is not done, but it gives a sample of it. So here is Billy Boyd as the Overseer in Wingfeather Saga Season 2.
Now tell me, you've disturbed my sleep for good reason, or I will grind a lot of you. Now, what have you brought me?
A boy.
A good boy.
Not as feeble as your usual fare? Fine. I'll take this one in place of one of your broken down brats. Who's next on the list? Morik? Bulpin?
Michael Bulpin. My daughter, Lily, took an 8 years past.
Lily Bulpin. Oh, yes. Pale, sickly girl. Hardly worth the soup we waste on her. Fine. I'll swap her for your fresh boy.
Oh, my Lily.
She'll be dumped down here at dawn. Collect her then. Now, be gone! I can't tolerate the stink of you lot anymore.
Yeah.
He's not a very nice character, is he?
He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy.
No.
Oh, you nailed it. It's so good. So good.
Oh, great. Thank you. So fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for everybody to kind of get to love to hate your character. I think that's a good thing. But he rules this fork factory with an iron fist as best he can, even though it's mostly children.
Yeah. No,
Well, Billy, it's
a
such an
fun
honor to
character.
have you on the show. We're so honored to have you.
Thank you.
You've done such a great job. We're really grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
For taking time with us here, and we look forward to seeing and hearing from you a lot more in episodes to come.
Can't wait. Thanks very much,
Cheers.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So good to see Billy. He's a good dude.
Lovely guy. Yep, he's a good one.
Yeah. Well, so he'll be playing Overseer. Andrew, we've got some other characters, some important characters that are part of season 2. And so let's talk through those. First off, we're excited to introduce Eva Whitaker, who will be playing Merrily Weaver.
Yeah.
Some of you guys, I've noticed in the comments, have been guessing about who these guys would be, and there she is.
Eva was the lead in the movie Wolfwalkers, Cartoon Saloon. I'm a big fan of what those guys do, and it's a huge honor to have her on the team. She's great.
Yeah, and she played with this toughness. It just is delightful. So we look forward to sharing more from her performance. And can't wait to show you. But Merrily is awesome. And then we welcomed Leslie Nickel. Many of you know her from Downton Abbey as Nergabog.
She's so good too. Yeah, she's great. That character design of Nergabog is amazing. It's just spot on, isn't it? It's so good. But yeah, she's just got this great high old lady voice that she turns on. She's so good.
Yeah, she's awesome. So delighted. And then an actor that just highly accomplished.
On, really quick before we move on. Leslie Nickel is good buddies with Kevin McNally. I don't know if you mentioned that before.
No,
but what a
that's
wonderful
right. Yeah.
surprise that Kevin, who plays Poto, and Nergabog, who has a crush on Poto, that the two actors are friends, which is, I think
they live like 10 minutes away from each other. She's like, I could run down to his and we say hello. I'm like, what? We should have them on
So
together
funny.
as a guest when we
that would
chat.
be great. Yeah.
Oh, the two of them would be a riot. And another amazing actor that Andrew, when we heard his audition, we knew this was our Claxton. Welcome, Will D. Renzi Martin. He is so scary.
He's got a great voice. Yeah. Yeah, you can't tell from his headshot how low his voice can get. He's got this like great gravelly thing.
Which is great, actually. So we, when we do auditions, we just hear the voices. So you don't see the person, and we heard his voice. And then when he showed up, he's this lovely, Brit. Hey, lovely to be on the show. And we're like, wow, you sound so different.
Yeah,
it's great. Some of you remember Christopher Robin Miller. He's actually, I think, on the shelf behind me is the bard over here. But Christopher, we've enjoyed working with him so much. And you may remember him as Commander Norm in season 1. We knew we wanted him back, and so he is joining us as Mobrick, a Ridge Runner that works at the Fork Factory with Billy's character, the Overseer. So they get to enjoy a lot of performances together.
He's wonderful.
He's doing a great job.
Yep.
And then rounding us out on this part is Ezra Knight, that we welcome to the cast as Mick Higgins, runs the Roundish Widow, an important location in Dugtown that we'll spend a bit of time in. And he just brought a real gravity and kind of weight to that character, Andrew. And we were trying to get this right voice, you know.
So good, yeah. I think in the books, I can't remember exactly how I described it. I described it as being a low voice with this kind of almost like buzz to it because it was such a deep, gravelly voice, and he just nailed it. Yeah, it's so good. I love his character. McHiggins has always been one of my faves in book 2, so he's great.
Yeah, and he's got this. He's kind of you don't know if you can trust him, but then he's affectionate and like it's a cool character, super cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a bunch of new cast in season 2. And some more to come, but this is our lineup so far that we're going to share with you. And and of course, our other characters are back, the main cast, of course, which, Andrew, we were talking about this, but Jody has had a very busy week. We actually had one of our crew this last week that we said, Jody Benson, you know, who plays Nia, that had never made the connection that Jody played Ariel in The Little Mermaid. That was new information. And I was like, oh no, I'm sorry we hadn't made that connection before.
That's
so Jody played Ariel in Little Mermaid and plays Nia in our show. And she's wonderful, does a great job. And she's been very busy. The new live action Little Mermaid comes out on Friday. And I've heard very good things. And Jody is walking the red carpet and being a part of that whole thing, supporting this new fine actress who's playing Ariel in the live action. So yeah, it's super exciting for her.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, we have got a lot of season 2 production ahead of us, and can't wait to get into it. And we're going to keep sharing updates with you all. The next one will be in June. We're going to do a live stream with you, everyone, on the soundtrack, and when it's available on all the platforms. But for now, of course, it's on YouTube, on the YouTube player, and a playlist there. So we'll talk to you again then. In the meantime, look for a bunch of cool new merch. We've got some great stuff coming throughout the summer and then into the fall out at the Wingfeather store. Yeah, good stuff. So, Andrew, we get to go now listen to some kid auditions. We've got some more kids joining us, and this is so fun.
Lots of Fort Factory kids. Yeah, so fun.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Wall. Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you, AP. And we will see you all again very soon. Take care.